The Rams are back today, folks, and we are coming off one of the most disappointing ends to a season in quite some time here in this series. We lost against Philadelphia 14-7, and we fired our offensive coordinator, Miles Pratt, right after that game because the offense, despite being number one for most of the season, was relatively inconsistent, especially towards the back half of the season. And as a result, our OC has been canned. We have hired a new guy to come in. We have plenty of staff points to spend. And hopefully Brent Perkins can give us a different look going into next year. I am going to change the playbook as well. I'm just not sure what to. But there are some changes coming to this team. And this is not the only one. Even though our quarterback threw 2 picks in that game, both in the end zone, the game is partly on him, but I think it all comes down to the OC. So I don't really have any complaints about Jesse Wagner. I think that, he has proven that we can win a Super Bowl with him on this team. We've made 3 different NFC Championship games. We've won a title with him in the previous season. So I'm not upset about him as our quarterback. But I do have some comments to make about David Jackson, who is an 87 overall deep threat, now 30 years old. He's played 8 seasons. But this year was his first year where he really had to become that number 1 receiver. And although he missed some games, his per game stats were pretty much a number 2 level of production. If you look at his overall season stats, he really never had too many big games. There were really 2 to 3 games where he had over 100 yards and a couple games where he had 3 touchdowns. But these are number 2 wide receiver numbers, not number 1 receiver numbers. I think we got to think about a big move at receiver in this offseason. And alongside him, Deontay McCoon won Rookie of the Year in the NFC on offense. So now he earns X Factor Dev after being superstar out of the draft. And I think in 2 to 3 seasons, he could be this team's number 1 receiver. This year, he actually had better stats than David Jackson per game, just not really racking up too many touchdowns. But I think for him, he showed more pop than Jackson did. And he pretty much matched him in terms of big games, although both guys did miss a handful of weeks this season. And obviously, I think we're fine at running back with our now second-year running back, X Factor Antonio Blackshear. He missed plenty of games this past season, but hopefully he can stay healthy in this next year and can just be that go-to guy, because when he was playing, besides the playoff game, he was elite. But for this offensive line, do we think about a change at left tackle or right tackle? I was hoping to get some more improvements from Kevin Campbell and Ben Farrow, but they just never really progressed all that well, and Campbell has normal depth traits, so it's going to be hard to get him the development that's needed. I mean, their ratings aren't bad, really, but they also aren't really great in any one area, especially for Ben Farrow. But they are young. They're only in their 2nd and 3rd years, respectively, so maybe we just rock it one more season with them and see what happens. But we are going to probably draft a new tight end to replace BJ Traynor, who not only was probably the best tight end this past season in terms of stats, but he's going to become a free agent. And I think that it's smart to just let him go because he does not want to come back. I think it makes sense to move on from him. On defense, we're going to lose Bradley Lynch, who's been our nose tackle for the past handful of seasons. And we're also going to lose Warren Terry, most likely as well, which will leave us with a couple of holes on this defensive line. Might just want to try and just revamp it if we can, but not sure how much money we're going to end up having. And then at corner, I really do think that we need a better number 2 corner. I think we're fine at safety. We're fine with our number 1 corner, and Darius Richards, who's been on this team since the start of the series. But for Presley, I think we could really use an improvement at corner over him to really round out the 3rd level of this defense. That will take us to the re-sign period, and we have negative $39 million in cap room, probably because Jesse Wagner's contract is finally kicking in. So we're going to lose Warren Terry. He's going to become a free agent. We're going to lose BJ Traynor, Bradley Lynch. And I am going to pick up the 5th-year option for Kevin Campbell. I don't want to lose him 1 year early, but we're going to lose some more free agents, like some backup tackles, a backup linebacker. So we got some holes to fill, especially on defense, but I'm still thinking about a potential David Jackson trade, but it might be a lot more difficult now with this lack of cap room. If we look towards the drafts, we are going to pick at number 28, and they have us taking Jay Harris, a left end, not opposed to going defensive line here in the first round for the first time in a long time. But if there is a really good receiver out there, I might go receiver once again. If there's a really good tight end, I might go tight end. So we have options, but there aren't many receivers going. Actually, no, I scratched it. There are plenty of receivers going before our pick. So the odds of that dropping to us is probably unlikely. All right, so we're pretty much screwed with the cap. I'm curious, besides Wagner, who's got the highest cap hit this year? Because whoever it is, we could probably restructure. And, oh my God, his cap hit's going to be north of $80 million in 2038. Did I make a mistake re-signing Jesse Wagner? That is actually insane. Darius Richards is under contract for 3 more years. He can probably restructure his contract and free up some cap space. That freed up about $4 to $5 million. So we're going to have to restructure so many contracts to do this. Is it going to be worth it? Can we even restructure Wagner's? We probably can. Yes, we can. We restructure. I think I'm also going to try to restructure like 2 more deals with Levy and George Vance, who are both under contract for 3 more years, just like Richards is. That way we can sign some players this year, and then probably just going to have to accept the fact that we can't sign pretty much anybody next year. But we'll see if we even have cap room after doing this. You just might not. So we'll restructure both of these. How much do we have at this point? Probably like, what was that, 5-6 mil or something? Nope, still -3. We're close though. We're very close. We could restructure David Jackson's contract, so let's go ahead and do that. Do the same thing for Carlos Ruiz. And we'll do the same thing for Raheem Finch. And this should give us at least some breathing room here. Let's see what we can do now with $10 million of cap space. And to my surprise, Warren Terry is the top free agent available, despite being an 88 overall 31-year-old. He's got offers from 6 different teams. There is Tevin Palmer, who's not, the biggest guy that could play nose tackle, and we actually can't really afford him right now, but he does have interest. So who knows about him? There's also Christopher Jones, a 86 overall receiver, but he wants $22 million a year. You can't really make any major moves in terms of free agent pickups unless we do trade away David Jackson and free up some more cap space that way. But look at this. One of our former wideouts, Trumaine Donald, is a free agent. He has interest in returning. Well, think about that, but he also wants about twice as the cap room that we have. We got Peter Skoronski, Noah Dealman. Jalen Hurts has become a free agent quarterback after taking us down there in the playoffs, so they're going to go to that rookie quarterback, Thaddeus Hudson, who is playing behind him. Herbert's a free agent. We got a really good right guard here, Eric Gunter. Will Pollard of the Seahawks is now a free agent. You got Terrell Reedy, Miles Murphy, Marcus Green, who I believe was playing for either Seattle or for the Cardinals and was very, very good when he played against us. And he has interest in coming over here. That could be one of our corner options. He does have very high interest, but he does have 6 other offers as of right now. I think I do want to focus on corner in terms of the free agent signings, because that way you just know that you have a guy that can step in and play there. We got to think about defensive tackle as well. Receiver is going to be a lot more difficult to come by. And if we do sign a corner, I'm still not opposed to keeping Presley as our number 3 and bumping Drummond onto our fourth corner. but that might create some difficult cap situations. So if we look at Marcus Green, he fits our scheme. He's got really good speed. He's probably going to be like a 1-year rental at 31 years old. But if we can offer him a decent contract, he might take it over the other teams. Our top offer is third behind the Chargers and the Jaguars. Interesting. There is also Trent McDuffie, who wants less money than Marcus Green, but he's more of a zone corner with kind of a lack of man coverage, while Green's kind of pretty well-rounded in both of those. And we could use some better zone coverage, as we saw in that game against Philadelphia. If we were to free up some cap room, the best guy to trade away to do so would have to be our left guard, Greg Teal. We did re-sign to a 1-year contract, but that would free up about $8 million in cap room for us, which would help us sign that corner, and we could focus on maybe guard in the draft. But there aren't a whole lot of teams that have interest in Teal, except for maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have left guard as one of their top needs. But a lot of teams are negative in cap room because they've already given out offers to several different teams. So teams that could afford him before can't do so right now with the current offers on the table. And these trade offers for Teal kind of suck anyways, so you probably just are going to have to work within this budget right now, I think. I think I'm going to spend our money to go after Trent McDuffie, who, again, is more of a zone corner than a man corner, but can still play up both. Doesn't have, the highest speed or anything, but I think we just need a guy like this on the team. I think he's better than a guy like Alex Holmes, who's got worse man coverage but higher speed. So either that or we bring back Emmanuel Forbes, who has no other offers right now, but his coverage skills have definitely taken a dip since he was last on this team. But he still played very well against us the last time that we saw him when he played for Tennessee. But I think McDuffie's going to be the guy that we're going to go after to use most of our money on. And it looks like we failed to sign him. And Marcus Green took an offer from Jacksonville for about 13 mil. McDuffie chooses the Cowboys instead. And now there's a lot less options on the market. Well, now I'm kind of considering going after Forbes again. He still has that ball hawk ability despite the coverage not being the best. I mean, do we want to bring him back for one more year and hopefully he can be that kind of turnover heavy machine? That might be the move. And he wants less money than McDuffie did. He's got no other offers right now, so he will probably take this one. I'll lower it by a little bit. And hopefully he will return. And he does accept the 1-year, $7 million contract. So Forbes is back. We still have Presley. We still have Frank Drummond. So hopefully this can be the move that will kind of revamp this secondary. But now we've only got $3 million in cap room to sign one more player. Meanwhile, Tremaine Donald has joined the Seahawks. He has joined our division, but now with a Rams rival. That is very interesting. Got plenty of other receivers available, but I'm not sure receiver is a move that I want to make in terms of a free agent pickup. And at tight end, BJ Traynor took a 4-year massive contract offer from the Raiders, so he will head to Las Vegas. Good for him. Josh Griffin had 7.5 sacks this past season with the Chiefs. He is now a free agent at left end, and that is a spot of need with Warren Terry becoming a free agent because he will also head to Jacksonville just like Marcus Green. So I'm going to offer a deal here to Griffin. It's not going to be the offer that he wants, but it's going to be one that he's going to get as the first offer for him in free agency. So hopefully he'll eventually accept this. He signed with Philly instead. These guys just will not get out of my head. We're going to try and bring in Marcus Fulton instead, who had a couple of sacks last year and nearly had 10 tackles for loss on minimal playing time. So hopefully we can at least get somebody at left end to be that kind of fringe starter like Brian Stewart at right end. And he accepts the one-year deal. So that's going to be our final free agent pickup of the season. And like all the years past, not too many signings because we are paying our defense and our quarterback a boatload of money. So now we're going to turn our focus towards the draft. But not before the final free agent recap. Tevin Palmer signs with the Steelers. Christopher Jones heading to Tennessee. Trevor Lawrence is now in our division with the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, he's on a one-year contract. We saw Jimmy McDonald sign with Seattle. Noah Dealman signs with Philly. Jalen Hurts leaves Philly for Cleveland. Herbert is now the quarterback in Kansas City all these years later. Will Pollard to Green Bay. So curious what they're going to do with their quarterback, Ben Meeks. Eric Gunter signs with the Commanders. Miles Murphy to the Colts. We saw Marcus Green. Denton Urban, a new linebacker in Minnesota on a 5-year contract. Chiefs also brought in a pass rusher, Devontae Holiday. Andrew Thomas is going to protect the young quarterback in Philadelphia. We saw trainers signing. I'm curious where Bradley Lynch went, if he has signed. Lamar Jackson is going to join the Falcons after Ritter retired this past season. That is very interesting. And where is Bradley Lynch? He's going to head to Green Bay as well. Okay, so there you go. We're going to use our focus scouting workouts on defensive tackle Myles Garrett, who is the heaviest defensive tackle in this class at 351 pounds. A tight end that might go in the first round, and then a receiver that might drop into the second or third round for us. And we only have 2 picks, I believe, in the top 100, so going to have to make these count in the first and second rounds. We do not have a third round pick this season or a 7th rounder, so 5 total picks for us in this draft. We cannot screw these up at all. Myles Garrett is a round 2 to 3 projection, a run stopper at 351 pounds and 6'2". Now at 90% scouted, he seems to be relatively well-rounded, and he's also young at 21 years old. A physical player who delivers bone-crushing hits. He's got a swift arm-over move in his arsenal. He has a spin move. He can use power and leverage to both through pass protectors. He's got good discipline, won't get flagged much. He's got great strength, although the acceleration and speed are not very good at all. But I'm just looking for a guy that can fill that middle of the fields in the trenches. And I think he's a guy that can do it, but he does have F injury. There are too many of these guys that have high injury rating in this class and this game as a whole. And looking through all these players, he is, I believe, the only player heavier than 314 pounds. Unless you look at left or right, and there might be some other guys that can slot in there like Jamal Savage, but nobody is even close to as big as Myles Garrett. At right end, it is a similar story. So if you want to replace Bradley Lynch, I think he's the guy to go after. And at tight end, we got Jason Holcomb, a possession tight end who's 6'6" and weighs 246, up to 95%. Right now, he's one of our top fits. He's got to work on drops, but that is the case for every tight end, every receiver has those in their player notes. It is honestly ridiculous. And physical, so he's got great strength, great speed, or he's got, elite strength, great speed, decent acceleration. He's a really good athlete overall. I like his profile a lot. And he's got good awareness, catching traffic, pass block, A to B injury. His route running's pretty good. He's got good run blocking as well, especially finesse-wise. But you haven't really had a tight end for quite some time. That could be useful. B catching is nice, and so is a short route. I think I'm leaning towards Holcomb in the back half of this first round. And at receiver, we had used it on Dudley Woodson, who is going to be a round 1 to 2 talent. And he's got C catching traffic, C catching. He can definitely run those deep routes, which is a scheme fit for us. Not the fastest guy in the world, but also not slow either. But also F injury, so I'm not sure I can bring in another player on this offense that's going to miss several games this season when we had a lot of injuries this past year. And F stamina 2 is pretty bad. So I think I'll pass on him for now. According to the mock draft, the first receiver comes off the board at 12 to the Bengals. So there will be, I think, at least one guy available that we have not used scouting on. But there is not a tight end going here in the first round. So if Holcomb's there and there aren't really many other options, I might go with Holcomb with our first round pick. The other tight end that's available that I guess is maybe a higher talent based on the profile is Joshua Ramirez, a 6'2" vertical threat. He's got great strength, good speed, elite agility. So pretty similar athletic profile, less catching traffic. We just don't know enough about him. And I think I just like Holcomb a little bit more. So here we go in the 2034 NFL Draft. The first overall pick made by the Panthers is Mitch Way, a right tackle. You don't see a tackle go first overall very often. The Commanders go defensive end, and the Bears have a new quarterback with Tyler Stamper out of Penn State. The Packers go with a pass rushing linebacker. Another tackle off the board to the Jets at 5. The Cardinals go tackle with Nate Golston. The Browns, who signed Jalen Hurts, take Ben McGill at left end. The Lions take the first running back off the board. Maurice Brown is the first corner taken. And right out this top 10, the Niners select a right end, Will Pierce out of Utah. Another defensive end off the board. Plenty of defensive linemen. They always go early on in these drafts. And like we saw in the mock draft, Jeff Callaway is the first receiver off the board. And right after him goes Casey Cousins to the Dolphins. Duke Odom drafted by the Patriots. The Titans go receiver after signing one in free agency. Jeff Ayers to the Texans. The Falcons draft a linebacker. And the Seahawks take a safety like Darius Walker. Interesting pick right there. The Chargers go linebacker. Colts go receiver and Devin Blaylock. Zay LeBlanc goes. He's the first center off the board. Jay Harris selected by the Giants. We're approaching our selection. Saints go with a tackle. And then another quarterback. The Ravens draft Glenn Baskerville from the Nevada Wolfpack. Minnesota drafts a new right tackle for their X-Factor quarterback, Mike Kopp. And before us, the Chiefs select a right tackle, Shaq Fisher. So obviously, both tight ends are still on the board. Do you want to use a pick on a tight end right here? I do like Holcomb a lot. But there is also Javier Cruz, who is available. He's got B catching, B deep route, A to C catch in traffic, elite strength, great speed. Honestly, he's faster than Holcomb is. And he's got similar awareness. The run block's not going to be as good. Neither is the short route running. But still a really solid option at tight end. Then you got Adam Tyler, who's got A catch in traffic, A catching. Great strength, great speed. He is the fastest tight end on the board. And he's probably going to be similar to Holcomb, honestly. We can probably wait and draft Tyler with our next selection and focus elsewhere with this pick. There's still 3 other defensive tackles on the board before Myles Garrett, but he weighs 351. He is by far the best option for us at defensive tackle. Now, he'll probably play behind Carl Graham for most of his rookie season, but he'll still get some good playing time, and I think I don't want to pass on a guy that can be that Bradley Lynch-esque replacement. He's kind of a jack-of-all-trades, master of none, despite the F injury. I think I'm going to go with Myles Garrett here with this pick, and then we'll focus on tight end in the second round. So Myles Garrett, hidden development, yes! Thank God. With 93 strength, the speed is really poor, but that strength plus the depth traits will hopefully be enough to get him off to a hot start in his career. We go through the rest of this first round. The Raiders go with the tackle. The Eagles go defensive tackle with Andrew Parker, who is at the top of the board. The Buccaneers take a running back, Quan Aldridge, and then the last pick of the first round, the Broncos go with J.R. Sinclair. I'll come back once a tight end comes off the board. And there goes Joshua Ramirez, drafted at pick 20 by the Colts. So he's off the board as we are approaching our pick. We're about 5 picks away. And Holcomb is still there, still available. So is the other 2 guys that we talked about. The Ravens go with the safety. The Vikings go linebacker. And the Chiefs before us, they take a linebacker as well. So now we have 3 different options to choose from. We know the most about Holcomb and less about Cruz and Adam Tyler, but we don't have a 4th or we don't have a 3rd round pick. So I've got to make this pick here. And I think I'm going to bet on Adam Tyler being a similar run blocker as to Holcomb. He's 2 inches smaller, is heavier, but he is way faster and has better catching than Holcomb does. He's a better athlete overall. I think I'm going to bank on Adam Tyler, but he does have, at the highest, a C injury. Cruz has a C injury at the highest. Holcomb, A to B injuries, so he's a guy that's not really going to get hurt. This could be a tough pick right here. Do you choose speed or do you choose strength? Because Holcomb has a lot more strength than Adam Tyler does. I don't think there's going to be a massive difference in speed between these 2. I mean, their 40 times are significantly different, but they both only have decent acceleration, while Holcomb's got great speed, and Adam Tyler has great speed as well, just a faster 40 time. And you get better route running from Holcomb over Tyler, better injury, better break tackle, similar catching, the same catching traffic. We know that he has a awareness. The run blocking is really good. I think I'm flipping back to Holcomb for this selection. We're going to draft him. Jason Holcomb, hidden development with 84 speed, 85 acceleration. We will have to compare him and these other 3 tight ends to see if we went wrong with this pick. But this guy could be, you know, a big piece to this offense and could, like BJ Traynor, kind of step in if somebody gets hurt in terms of our wide receivers and can come in and be that guy to move us down the field and be that kind of safety valve for Jesse Wagner. Hopefully that was a good pick, but 2 hidden dev traits on the first 2 picks. No complaints here. And Dudley Woodson goes in the final pick of the second round to the Broncos. So we'll have to check on him once this draft is all said and done. And because we let Ricard hit the open market, I think I want to go power rusher to back up Raheem Finch at linebacker. And this guy's got elite acceleration. He's got solid strength, solid speed, and B power moves with C play rec and C awareness. Don't know about many other of these categories, but I like him a lot as a pure power rusher. Arthur Snow has hidden developments. 3 for 3 so far, I would say. We also could use a backup safety behind George Vance in case he gets hurt or needs to come out of a game. We got Juan Shirley here, who's got marginal strength, solid speed. He's a decent athlete overall. Nothing's going to stand out to you. But he's got B pursuits. Don't really know about the man coverage. The zone coverage is at C, which is not a bad level for a backup. We're going to take Juan Shirley here in the 5th round. Normal dev, but 87 speed. Not bad for a safety. And with our final pick, I kind of want to just go with a shot in the dark here because we don't really have much info on these tackles, but we could use a backup tackle. Christian Schaefer has kind of flown up draft boards by a lot. He's got poor jumping, but otherwise is a pretty good athlete at tackle. He's not going to be useful in terms of power or pass block finesse. Never mind. I think I'll choose somebody else. I'm going to go with Dudley Wilson, who's got F run block, but C run block finesse and power, plus B pass block. He's a pretty good pass blocker overall, with elite agility and marginal strength. Let's take him as our final pick in this draft. Normal developments. So, how did we do in the 2034 drafts? Myles Garrett is a 72 overall. And honestly, I think I'll take it. It'll take a while before he's fully ready to become like a full-time starter. But 93 strength, 75 blocks, it is really nice for a guy just starting out. He's also got a swim and a bull rush move and a high motor. That's exactly what you want for a guy that's going to be in the trenches. And the power moves and finesse moves can definitely be improved to a level where he could be a decent pass rusher in third down situations. So definitely happy with this pick. The play rec and awareness are also not too low. So happy with this pick. Hopefully he will pan out. And I'm just going to check these depth traits immediately. I don't really care anymore. We're probably going to blow through these years a bit faster as we approach the end of the series. And he is a star development player. And how about Jason Holcomb, a 74 overall hidden development tight end? And he's going to be useful blocking, I think. He's better than Trainer. He's got aggressive catch, possession catch, and run after catch, and he fights for yards. That's like the best possible trait list that you can get for a tight end. So I definitely like that. I like the speed. What is the injury at? 90 with 85 toughness and 96 stamina. He should be a guy that will not leave too many games throughout his career. Let's check his depth traits. Also check those motivations and tags too in a moment. He is only a star, but if he plays well and gets Rookie of the Year, he could become superstar after his rookie season. For Myles Garrett, his motivations are pointing our way if we keep this base 3-4 scheme fit, which I'm not going to change because we've been using that for year after year, and the defense has been fantastic with it. I don't want to screw that up. For Holcomb, his motivations can kind of go either way, so who really knows about him? Now for our last three picks, we didn't do a good job. 63 overall for Arthur Snow, 64 for Juan Shirley, and 64 for Dudley Wilson. At least Arthur Snow is hidden development, but he has a long way to go before he is ready to really play in the NFL. His motivations are pointing towards the Rams with the big market here in LA. And in terms of his depth traits, it's probably going to be a star, I would have to assume. And that is the case. With Juan Shirley, he's got 71 zone coverage, aggressive play ball tendency, high motor, 76 pursuits, but the play rec is very low, the awareness is very low. Hopefully George Vance can stay healthy, because if he can't, we are in trouble at strong safety for sure. And Dudley Wilson is going to be probably one of the worst backups on the entire team. He's not going to help you out in terms of run blocking, but the pass blocking is definitely at a decent level. And his motivations will probably make him re-sign with us if we end up offering him an extension down the line. All in all, I think the most important picks were the first two, as they usually are, and we did a good job on those, I think. We'll see how those guys play in, what is it going to be, year 12, I believe, with this team. The top player taken in this draft was right tackle Eric Marciano and wide receiver Jeff Callaway. And should we have taken Adam Tyler? He was taken by the Bengals, so they got Callaway and Adam Tyler. He's a 75 overall hidden depth player with 86 speed, so 2 points higher than our guy that we got, but less of those catching traits. He's only got the possession catch trait and fights for yards. And his depth traits is hopefully not higher, but it could be. It's not. So I think I'm happy with Jason Holcomb in round 2. We thought about taking Dudley Woodson as well. He was a normal dev receiver at 73 overall, 91 speed, 93 acceleration. The route running needs some work, but not for the deep route. That's actually in a pretty good area, but I'm glad I passed on him. We also considered drafting tight end Joshua Ramirez, but normal development, 4 points lower in terms of overall than Holcomb. Glad I passed on him as well. And the last tight end that was taken that we looked at was Javier Cruz, who does have hidden developments. Same speed as Holcomb. And his dev traits is stars. So it looks like there weren't really many tight ends that had that elite development traits. So I think Holcomb was probably the best option for us to go after, even though Tyler had a higher overall. I do want to end the episode after preseason, but I think what I want to make a change on the offense with is going to be moving Deontay McCoon because he has X Factor over David Jackson as the number 1. And hopefully that X Factor can make a difference on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to start Holcomb obviously at tight end, and we're also going to play David Jackson in the slot to start the year over McCollum. And we're going to see if hopefully the new play with that I'm going to choose here in a moment, paired with Jackson back in the slot, can kind of revitalize his career at 30 years old. We're going to move Forbes back in the slot where he played before we let him go a couple years back. And we're going to start Carl Graham as the starting defensive tackle, both in terms of third downs and in terms of regular downs, over Gary for now. But I am definitely thinking about starting Gary in that traditional nose tackle spot outside of nickel and dime defenses, but have not made that official decision yet. And Blackshear is going to be our full-time running back across the board. Our defensive line is sure to be worse, especially against the run this year, unless Gary and Graham can really step up. But we should have a pretty similar pass rush with Quincy Basnight, Raheem Finch, and Carl Graham, all of whom were big contributors to our pass rush last year, plus our linebackers, Levy and Ruiz, who always pick up a couple of sacks per season. Hopefully our defense does not take a major shot. I don't think they will, but who really knows what it's going to look like in this next season. I think we're going to try the Dallas/Mike McCarthy playbook. It's also a zone run West Coast scheme like the Niners playbook is, but a lot of different formations and sets. And I think I like that, especially in shotgun. That's where we play a lot out of the shotgun. So hopefully we can have a different look offensively. And that is the goal with this new playbook. We end up going 3-0 in preseason with the number 1 offense and number 1 passing offense, which is a big difference than the past couple of years. And you can kind of see why, because we did not run the ball well at all with Antonio Blackshear, I guess. And the defense was not good in preseason either, but not really going to put too much stock into this. Let's go see how different players did. You're 5th in offensive yards. Wagner had a fantastic passer rating, nearly perfect in preseason. How is that even possible? 6 touchdowns, no picks for either quarterback, including Eddie Cunningham. On the ground, Blackshear averaged 2.7 per carry. If that is going to be the case with this playbook, we cannot use this playbook at all. That is really bad. But again, I don't want to put too much stock into preseason stuff. We did get a big preseason, though, from Deontay McCoon. Over 80 yards a game, 2 touchdowns, 246 yards in total. David Jackson had a better per-game average. Holcomb caught 2 touchdowns. Okay. Blocking-wise, only a handful of sacks allowed. On defense, a lot of tackles for Carlos Ruiz and Daniel Levy and Emmanuel Forbes. 2 sacks for Quincy Basnight. 1.5 for Miles Gary, plus 2 tackles for loss is pretty impressive. Carl Graham had 6 tackles for loss. And we forced 5 interceptions, 2 from Forbes. If we can keep this up going into this season, that would really help out this defense to open the year. And Douglas picking up right where he left off last year are still perfect. I'm definitely going to keep this playbook for at least the first week, but If I don't like what I'm seeing, both in watching and simming, then we're going to change the playbook mid-year, which we don't often do in this series. And if McCoon can step up like he did in preseason, then I feel good about the offense passing-wise, especially because he's not going to develop very quickly with this new depth traits. This will definitely help him out a lot. Got to work on those short and medium routes, and then he'll be at a really good level, I think, once this year's all said and done. Upgrade point for Myles Garrett, and I think for him, you probably want to work on those power moves a little bit. I think that would make a whole lot of sense. Can maybe get some more strength in there as well with the upgrade. We get power moves and strength. Perfect. And Ben Farrell for sure needs to have more awareness and be better in pass blocking. He occasionally becomes a turnstile, especially against really good guys that are fast. He becomes a problem. We're going to open the season against the Panthers at home. And overall wise, our team looks a lot better than theirs, but that's only on paper. I am going to set our goal the same as it was the past 2 seasons. Win the Super Bowl. That is the goal. Every single year going forward, this team has the personnel. We've got the roster. We have a good offense and a good defense. We just got to put it together game after game to win our 3rd title in this series and our 2nd with Jesse Wagner. But that is going to do it for me here in this one, guys. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave your thoughts down below on how the offseason went in your mind. Do you think that Deontay McCoon can really be that #1 receiver over David Jackson? Do you think that the offense is going to play well on the ground with Antonio Blackshear coming back with a new playbook after how the preseason went? Give your thoughts down below, and I'll see you guys in the start of year 12. Peace out.